My name is Erica Kruppen, and on today's episode on the Scoop Start channel, we are doing a special highlight interview. We really like to highlight the community in the Poop Scoop Millionaire community, and Dermot from The Scoop Master is here with us to chat. Welcome. Thank you for chatting with me.
Thanks for having me. It was great seeing you at the conference, and here we are again.
Yeah, this is so cool. So we're coming off the heels of ScoopCon. How was your travels home?
It was interesting. I got to meet, luckily, a couple of people that I hadn't really talked to at the conference, so that was fun. Before I got on the plane, we had 2 hours to kill, so yeah, it was good to get a little chat in before I headed home. But yeah, it was good to get home and get back into the normalcy of things. I had a ton of notes and things I wanted to catch up on, of course, right away. But I think we're going to have to leave that to the weekend. We had some scooping to do in the meantime. So
Yeah, I'm excited to do these interviews because I was so excited about my presentation that I didn't take any notes. And so I am going to be listening to our episode to see what you took so I can reflect. So before we get too far in the weeds with ScoopCon, which we'll talk about that later, tell the audience about your business. Why did you decide to become a professional pooper scooper?
Yeah, I was working a pretty demanding corporate job. I had been in it 5 or 6 years, and combined, I had been in the corporate world like 20 plus years. And I was working from home, completely remote. 4 years, I was turning into a vampire because I wasn't getting outside. I wasn't meeting people. I was doing a lot of these Zoom calls, and just life was getting really weird, and I was getting very burned out. And I really wanted to, having had a kind of, I don't want to say a failed business in my 20s, but I'd taken a shot at business in my 20s in the food delivery industry, and I put a lot of effort into it. I built it up, and then something happened in that it just kind of failed very quickly. So that was a big learning opportunity for me, but I always had it in the back of my mind that I wanted to do something else. So I started scooping on the weekends, built my website, and got into it. I was watching a lot of your videos and Anthony Salazar's, and I was like, this really seems like an industry to me. It gets me, for me, it gets me outside. It gets me working with my hands. It was kind of the flip side to everything that I was doing at the time. And I just fell in love with it. It really clicked with me. And yeah, long story short, after a year and a half, I quit my job much sooner than I should have, probably. I think my wife still has PTSD from that conversation, but thankfully it worked out, and we're growing, and everything's going good. So no looking back.
How did you hear about the industry?
I would say it probably just popped up on YouTube, and I'm like, oh wow, that's a thing. It might have been you, it might have been Anthony. I just, I kind of was looking at a lot of different things, obviously, and wanting to do something. And I had thought of every idea under the sun. I had tried other things. I'm always thinking that way. I think a lot of us scoopers are wired that way. Waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning with a business idea and running it through your head. But yeah, once I saw it, I'm like, that just makes sense, a lot of sense. And it just felt right. Like, I need to be doing that.
It's so interesting that you say that, because I often get asked this as well. And what you said, it just felt right. To me, like, I had heard, like, a friend of mine was doing it. I kind of seen him do it a little bit. And then I was watching my dog poop. And then I was like, I'm going to do this. There was no grand plan. It felt like it was the right thing to do. So I'm happy that we're kind of in the same boat with that one.
Yeah, I think I read like, I would consider myself a fairly spiritual person, and I'm a big believer in signs. Someone had told me a year before, because I was probably complaining and moaning about my job, just how demanding it was, my corporate job. And a friend of my wife's, she was giving me a ride somewhere, and she said in the front seat, she was like, Dermot, you work so hard. You would probably pick up SHIT for your family if you needed to. And I was like, yeah, she's probably right. I was like, yeah, I kind of laughed her off. But what she said stuck with me for months. And then, a year later, I'd been watching the videos, and my son had asked me, what would you do if you wanted to build a business? And there was a guy walking by with a dog out the window right at that moment. And that quote came back in my head, and I'm like, yeah, I really need, like, it was another sign. So I don't know if there's a higher power guiding things there, but I leaned into it, and I'm confident that I made the right decision.
Agreed, especially with going to ScoopCon and seeing there was well over 100 people. I don't know what the head count was. Just coming together and people just having the conversations and learning. It was kind of all full circle for me, which I love it. I'm happy that you were able to get away from your business. Are you a solo scooper, or do you have like a staff yet?
Yeah, right now I have 4 part-time technicians.
Nice.
So I have been able to get away a little bit, which has been liberating. For a long time, I was obviously working in the business and not on the business. So it's still a struggle because I struggle with letting go. Um, we have that mentality that nobody can do as good a job as me. And, if I'm not there and I'm not on it, then it's just not going to be the same. But I'm learning. I think I'm like 80% there. Take a breath, let it go. They're doing a good job. If they don't, you rectify. So, yeah, ScoopCon again. I took some notes there in terms of reinforcing that idea of how do I really, focus on moving the needle where I need to, and stepping back a little bit from Scoop. Like, don't get me wrong, I actually do still enjoy getting out. Like, it's a big reason why I started this business. And, you know, I heard some people say, like, yeah, I can't wait to get there. And, like, there's a lot we can't wait for. I think, we're patient people. We're also impatient. Um, yeah, I just, for now, I'm finding a good balance, and it's helping me. I'm learning to give a little more where I need to, in terms of letting go.
Would you say letting go of that control has been one of the biggest challenges for you in your business?
At this point, after I've gotten bigger, yeah, it was more easy to manage when I had less than 100 customers. But now that I've kind of been forced into it, um, it's been a struggle. Yeah. Um, but as time goes, and I'm learning to work better with my team and direct them. It's getting a little easier. Like, I have a little bit more peace of mind.
How are you working on that?
Um, I think maybe my corporate background might help. I wore many hats in the corporate world, and it's helped me in my business. But in terms of communication, you can't let emotion come into it too much, and you just have to be very clear and very direct in what your expectations are, and how they're not. I don't want to say the word enforced, but how we hold ourselves, how we go about how we do things, and yeah, those things are important.
Have you ever heard of like the pancake rule, where it's like the first pancake is always kind of like messed up when you cook one? I feel like it's very similar with like relationships, personal, business. My first couple employees, like I look back on the lack of communication that I had and just kind of like, we'll figure it out. I almost feel bad, and I wish I could like reach back out to them and be like, can we do a redo? Because I swear I would lead you so much better now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think those are the stages of business as well, right? It's like having a kid. You're watching it grow up, and you're like, oh man, I could have done better when they were this age or that age, and it's just part of the process.
Yeah. All right. Well, it seems like your business is going quite well. And I know it's hard for people to shine light on their successes, but do you have one thing in your business that you're super proud of?
Um, I'm proud of my family the most, because in the beginning, I think it was really difficult for them, to understand. the concept of what I was doing and why I was doing it, but they didn't really blink an eye. Well, my wife did for a while.
As
uh,
we do, as we do.
yes, but there was never any doubt on the same token. She was curious and worried about it. She wanted obviously the best for me, for us, but I just have to give her a lot of credit, especially because she encouraged me to go for it, allowing me to walk away from a very well paid job with great benefits. That's what keeps you hanging in, right?
The
Um,
golden handcuffs.
yes. Um, so I'm really, really thankful for that, she allowed me to go with it and run with it and trusted me. I think that's what I'm most proud of. And then when I got really busy, some days I was out there scooping 7 days a week from dusk to dawn, and um, her taking care of the kids and communicating with the kids and like, hey, daddy's busy right now, and this is just a stage, and explaining all that. Um, that put me at ease a little bit, because it made me see too, yeah, this is just a phase and I need to get to the next level and hire somebody, and it'll be okay in a little while, because I was kind of freaking out that first big spring rush, and I didn't know, my head was just spinning 20 different directions. So yeah, I think that's what I'm most proud of in my business, that I have that unit behind me. It's really important. Mhm.
Jeff Joyner was one of the speakers, which he didn't talk about this during the presentation, but when I interviewed him on my podcast, he talked about this, about him being gone a lot because he traveled. And he says his wife spoke very, very good about him while he was gone and explained why he was gone. So I think it's really important to think about that when if you're listening to this and you have a partner that's gone, because it's what happens. We're busy. We're trying to build these businesses. As a supportive spouse, you have to speak very highly of your partner, because that's what the kids are going to remember, because the other one is gone so much. And Jeff said that was huge for his relationship with his wife and with his kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I took a lot of notes during Jeff's speech. He was pretty incredible.
He's so good. Oh man, I absolutely love it. Well, I'm happy to hear that. Where would you like to see your business 1 year from now?
Um, I would say much more structured in terms of operations. I think I have a lot of work to do there. Um, looking at Swoop Scoop and their hierarchy, it looked like the mafia family, the tree they had. I'm like, oh my God, I need to get there. That looks like heaven. Um, but yeah, I think, I met a couple of businesses there. They had, very structured roles, operations managers and things like that. And like, yeah, I definitely need to bring a little bit more order to how things are communicated, I think, and maybe get to that level of maybe either a lead technician or an ops manager, and then techs versus just the part-time techs I have now.
Yeah, the structure is really important, and I think a lot of the information is in the Poop Scoop Millionaire community. So how long have you been a part of the PSM group?
I would say probably a year. I'm thinking, how old is the group? Is it something like a year and a half, maybe something like that?
I think it just celebrated its year not too long ago. So yeah, you got in right in the beginning.
Yeah. I tend not to miss a beat with the new stuff that's coming out.
You're
So
you're super active. What would you say that what do you want to dive into now that you know what you learned from ScoopCon? What's going to be your main focus in there?
I think growing more consistently.
Yeah.
I have been kind of leaning into this idea of, let's shut things down in the summer because it's slow, right? And then maybe I'll ramp up again close to winter, or maybe even hold on to spring and kind of eyeball it. But maybe I'm giving myself an out there. Maybe I'm just settling, and I don't think I can afford to settle. I think um, maybe I felt like I'm at a plateau. I've been at that around 250 customers for a while, and I'm struggling to kick on from there. So um, there's just a ton that I took back from Will's speech, from Levi's, from everybody who spoke, that I just know if I can get a solid week where I can implement a bunch of this stuff, I can really find that gear that I need to shift to kick on. Mm-mm.
Well, now you have me intrigued. So what are your takeaways?
Uh, I have a ton. I mean, everyone who spoke was just incredible. You know, I've been to other conventions in other industries, and a lot of it is fluff. 90% of it is fluff. And there was very little fluff at this convention. It was very on point, very matter of fact, and relative to our industry. And for the first one, I couldn't believe it. It was just so well organized. So hats off to everybody, Will, Levi, everybody who had the courage to get up there and speak. It was unbelievable, including yourself. Um, I guess, I mean, I'll start with Will. I mean, he was the last to speak. So, you know, he talked about decreasing customer acquisition cost, maximizing lifetime value, and had very specific, um, you know, points under each as to how to go about doing that. Um, and that's bigger picture stuff, right? I've never really had the time to sit down and really dive into that. I've been busy like scheduling the routes and taking care of little fires and putting them out. And these are the kind of things that I really should be working on. Implementing the SMS remarketing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tool that I actually bought but never implemented. I'm like, yeah, that, you know, I'd looked at it a while ago. I'm like, yeah, I need that, but I just haven't found the time or given myself the time or organize things in a way where I'll have time to go and do something like that. And, you know, that made a big impact in his signups, their signups, Soup Scoop signups. So I really need to do that. You know, it's one of the 30 things on my list that I tried to prioritize. Yes, that's going to move the needle the most. So I do try to identify daily 3 things, you know, stick to those 3 things. If you get those done, it's a good day. And try not to overwhelm myself. Um,
Yeah, I also liked where Will was talking about during the panel, because we pay for advertising. Why not give our customers money to refer us?
yeah,
I'm implementing that as well, because why not pay somebody we know locally in the community 50, 75, $100, whatever our CAC is, for them to bring us a solid, warm, hot lead that's going
right.
to convert.
Especially the term that Jeff used, your apostles. You know, not somebody that's just, yeah, I'm satisfied with the service. He talked about people, you know, how do we get them to be not just satisfied, but actually willing to talk and shout from the rooftops about your business. And you can get those people there if you put the work in too. Um, so identifying those people, and yeah, you're going to spend the money anyways, you know, spend it on your customers. I think his amount was like $150, I think, off the top of my head, which,
Yeah, I think that's what his CAC is, which I don't know what mine is. So just like you, we're in the same boat. I got to figure that out.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I think that would be money well spent. I would spend $150 for a customer that's going to bring back $3,500, I think is my LTV. So,
Think about this. Say if you find a super focused and dedicated stay-at-home mom. She's home. She's got her phone in her hand anyways, and she's trying to figure out a way to make money from home. She can post in all the buy sell trade groups that we keep getting flagged in, right? And you're paying her per lead, like hot lead that's coming in, that's convert.
yeah,
She's gonna be super motivated. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm like, all right, who can I get that's gonna be down? And like you said, the apostle, like
yeah,
Jeff said.
yeah, no brainer.
Okay,
Um,
what else you got?
Well, what I came away thinking from the conference, I don't know if this moves the needle for anyone, but it surprised me how many new businesses there were there. I thought I was going to be the small potato there, but OG from Sweep and Go had shared, a breakdown, at least from the Sweep and Go side, and I'm assuming there's the same amount of people on Jobber, give or take. But I think it was 0 to 20 clients was like there's only 600 that are in that range. So even if you're at 0, you're one of 600 people, talking the United States, in the nation that has started. So I think it's important to let that sink in. You're one of a select few that moved their ass and got going. And, that's incredible. Don't be ashamed of that. And then, there was 51 to 100, 100 to 200, something like that. And the numbers just kept dwindling. Like, all in all, it was less than 1,000, I think, altogether. So I was really impressed too that a lot of there was a lot of people that hadn't even started yet, to travel that distance and go and hear and discover. That's incredible and amazing. And I think it's important. I think this conference is going to be important for, I don't want to say standardizing the industry, but bringing it to the level where it deserves to be. Like, I think I mentioned on our last podcast, I'm not a huge fan of freebies, and I see it being happening, and I know it's really tempting. I've done it once or twice myself, but I think we just really need to charge what we're worth, and don't be afraid to push the boundary there and set your standard right from the get-go. As far as other takeaways, struggle is real for everyone, no matter what stage you're at. I noticed that, looking at Levi's speech, he shared a little bit about just some of the stuff he went through. And he went all the way to like 800, 900 customers spinning plates. And I'm not sure how the guy's still standing, but there he was. Everything on a sheet and who owed you what. And, but these are habits and things that we all get into, and we just do what works in the moment. And, to see where they are now with the systems and helping everybody. All of that was very different. My other bit, like Jeff, I had Jeff Joyner, a list a mile long of things I really need to think about, but he had talked, his key point was, 68% of the reason your customers disappear is because of indifference on the part of an employee or a representative of your company. So automatically you think like, oh, what a bad employee. No, that's on you. And that's on how you started your business, the foundation of your business. It all stems from there. If you're not charging enough down the line, you're not going to be able to pay an employee. Your employee's going to be pissed off, and your employee's going to, not do the best job in the yard. Like, you don't think about these things at the start, but this is why we go to these things, to learn and see, and hopefully, knock that on the head before it happens. But yeah, if your employee isn't, they don't have to be out in the yard doing backflips for you, but if they carry your ethos, if they carry your passion, your enthusiasm, it all stems from you. If you really train them the right way, show them, why you started this business, why you're in this business, why we do the job that we do, why your customer is important, and really follow up, knocking mistakes on the head in the right way, just keeping things on point, and pay them well, obviously, and tell them you're proud of them, and tell them that, you're a hard worker and I appreciate you, and show that, not just say it. All those things is going to hopefully keep your techs, your employees, whoever you have working with you, motivated, and not for that to happen, because that's something you don't see too. 68% of the reason you lose these customers that you fight so hard for, it could have been just something that's happening right now. Your tech is out and they're having a bad day, and you could have said something to them that morning that could have made all the difference, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, that statistic came from a ton of knowledge. He said he goes to hundreds of thousands of these conventions and talks to all these business owners. So that information was just gold.
It is, because it's just something that we don't think about. And with us running solo, it's cool because we're by ourselves. We don't have to deal with like coworkers. We don't deal with any issues. But sometimes it's hard to stay motivated when you're out there working. And my technician actually said that to me. And so in the morning time, if I don't see one of them in a Slack message, I send like, "Hey, good morning," or send like a funny joke, or if you need anything, let me know. I'm here for you. Just to try to touch base with them and let them know like you are appreciated. I am
Yeah.
thinking about you. And it
Yeah.
helps. It does help. I got a
Um,
question about Kenny. Kenny went after me. Do you have any takeaways from him?
Kenny, my one note from him um, was more again a personal thing. Um, and I think it was along the lines of like, you know, we're so invested in our dream and our vision, and whether we've started or we're a few years into it, we're always trying to build the dream, and it's your dream, and trying to make it a reality. But um, just be conscious of, don't minimize somebody else's dream in the pursuit of that. Um, I think humility is really important, and situational awareness, and I just try to be cognizant of that, because I'm always thinking about my business. It's like one of my kids, like it's always there. And like, I just don't want to make sure that I want to make sure that whether it's my wife or my friend or my whoever family member that might have their own dream, to try to look for that and encourage that and help. Um, yeah, if I can find my notes that I have, kind of my thing fell apart. My little scoop con thingamajigger all fell apart on me. It must have been the plane ride. It was a bumpy plane ride home. Um, but yeah, that was my one thing from Kenny. He talked about treating everyone with respect. Treat every home like it's your own. Which I thought about today as well when I was out scooping. Like, man, these people just, you know, they the customers, they must look for quality. Like, they have to trust who's coming in their yard. Again, going back to freebies and things like that, I just think that attracts someone who's not looking for quality to begin with. They see something that's free and they're like, yeah, I want that. um but yeah, and defining your company values was another thing that he had mentioned, right from the get-go. um that's something, again, my last company that I worked for 5 years, something they actually done really well was, right from the get-go, they had really took the time to sit down and, what is the value of my company? We're all in the same industry, but I think we have things that can differentiate, from each other in terms of just what do we want? What do we want to see? What's the vibe? What's the ethos? And like, word that, simplify it and word it and have it be the kind of backbone of your company. Um, so yeah. So you said he came after you. What does that mean? Did he attack you?
My internet was going crazy.
Oh, did you miss some of that?
Yeah, but I hopefully the local recording recorded it all, because it's getting ready to rain really bad here, and I think it's messing with the internet. I don't know how to Ethernet in. I think I need to figure that out for interviews.
Okay.
Yeah. So I missed it, but the local recording on your end should have picked it up, and I tried to just maintain a smile on my face so I didn't look crazy.
Got it. Yeah, I'm sure you cut and edit and all that stuff.
All right. Well, any last words of encouragement for somebody that is listening to this interview and they're either thinking about getting started or they're they just need a little bit of help in their business?
Um, I would say attend as much, like show up as much as you can in the Poop Scoop Millionaire group. There's so many resources there for whatever stage of business you're at. Um, and one thing I've just found really helpful is connecting with your local competitor. Um, I've found it very beneficial. There's 4 services around me that have started after me. And, I just really made it my mission to reach out to each one of them, say hi, um, say best of luck in your business. I'm Dermot. I'm here to help. And thankfully, after they get over the initial shock, they call me back. We have great conversations. And we're all in a text group together. Same thing. Struggle is real. Pass each other leads, and just be genuine about it. Just like, in my market, there's 200,000 people. Probably 60,000 of them have a dog. If we can each get 4% of that, we're laughing. It's not this like, it's not the mafia, it's not territory, and we're scooping, and there's not a lot of us. And if you're starting, find the person that's closest to you and reach out, and it's going to help you, especially if you approach it with that attitude.
I will add to this, approach it with being truthful and direct. Don't you call and pretend like you're a potential customer. That's dirty, and we will not talk to you.
Oh yeah, there's no need for that. All the information is out there.
I get it all the time. It makes me so angry. I just start calling them out now, and I'm like, "You're trying to start a company. Just be honest." And they're like,
Yeah, like truthfully, I haven't looked at a competitor's price in since I started. Um, I don't ask them. I don't care to know. I don't look at their websites. I don't look at their reviews. I, I post that. I tag them in social media if because we're friendly, and like I genuinely want them to succeed. Like their family, they have families, and they work hard, and I see a lot of myself in them because I'm doing the same thing. And I have to say the same thing about you. You had mentioned in your speech at the conference, you were worried about or wondering about sharing vulnerabilities, and that's a hard thing to do. But I think people resonate with that. That's I think it's a testament to your character because you choose to go take that harder route, right? It's easy to be, yeah, I'm America and I own this business and flashy and I'm social media and but you share the real, you share the truth, and people resonate with that. And a lot of people don't have the courage to do that, and I think that's why you get the engagement you do, and I think that's why people root for you. So please continue to share those vulnerabilities because I think it means a lot to a lot more people than even you realize.
"You're gonna make me cry." I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, being vulnerable. It's I don't know. I don't know why I do it. It just feels like the right thing to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Follow on the heart.
All right, well, cool. This was amazing. Thank you so much for chatting with me. We're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap this one up. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Erica, and we'll see you around.
Bye.
Bye bye.